Ari, fantastic to meet you. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Welcome to London. How does it
Thank
feel
you.
to be here in the UK?
Horrible. No, I'm just kidding. It's great. Yeah, I've been here actually quite a few times this year, and I was just here recently playing a show at Coco, which was really legendary. I think that was like definitely probably top 3 nights of tour. It was amazing. So it's good to be back.
I mean, we can start by talking about your latest single, "There's No Way," with Julia Michaels. So can you tell us a bit about the genesis of this track?
Yeah. So I guess like me and Julia met, and like we hung out one day. We were like, okay, maybe we'll write a song. Maybe we'll just hang out. We ended up like hanging out for like 6 hours and just talking about life and music and stuff. And then I think it was like the next day, like we got back together with some friends of ours, and the song honestly kind of just fell out. It's basically about a feeling of tension between two people. And you know, I think like we both had experiences in our life, just like where you like you meet somebody and you know that even if the timing's not right at the moment, or if there's something in the way that like if there wasn't that thing in the way that you guys would work. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited.
And like much of your music, it's already got an incredible response online. What is it about your music, do you think, that really hits a chord with people?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would hope, you know, like I think the most important thing for me is just that my music feels like as honest as possible. And just, yeah. So for me, it's just like kind of letting go of like things going on in my head. Cause I tend to like internalize a lot, I guess. So it's like, I think maybe people connect with that is like, if music feels really like just honest, that people will connect with it. Yeah.
And I think, you know, the videos that sit alongside the songs as well seem to be a draw for people. And there's some simplicity in them, but they tell a bit of a story. So how do you, you know, come about with the ideas for these videos, and how important are they to you?
Yeah, every video has been a little bit different. Yeah, actually it was funny because we were just in the lobby and like one of the videos was playing and he was like snapping photos of me in front of it. Yeah, you know, it's like I definitely tend to like things that are a little bit like simpler, because I think sometimes like really complex concepts or videos that have like a ton of different shots can just get in the way of like a simple feeling. You know, particularly for "There's No Way," that one was like just like that was kind of more of a fun concept, where basically it's about like me and Julia are like in this band called Blurry Bodies, which is a lyric from one of my old songs, and like we're touring and like. You find out that we both have significant others, but there's like tension between us, and like, you know, we're on the road together and that whole thing. So that one was fun. But, you know, I've done some videos that are just like one shot. I think like a music video can either like really directly say something, like really directly speak what the song is kind of saying, or they can do something to kind of like augment the feeling or add like a new perspective. So.
And I understand, you know, you had to move around quite a lot when you were younger, but you've also, you know, been in different bands. You've had, you know, been into lots of different kinds of music.
Yeah.
How do you think your journey to where you are today has influenced the kind of artist you are and the kind of music you have made?
I think it's made me really confused. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, yeah, because I listened to so many different genres of music growing up, and like moved around, you know, from like San Francisco to Georgia to Pennsylvania to New York and then LA. I think it's just given me like different like perspectives, and like my perception I guess my perception of like identity is maybe a little bit different than somebody who maybe grew up in one place, and like is I have like some friends, you know, who are like born and raised in one place, and like there's like the, you know, the sports teams they love, and like this, like all these really specific places they have memories with, and like, you know, the families are all, I've been friends for decades, stuff like that. So I think it's given me a sort of feeling of like nothing is permanent in some ways. So I try to, I think, approach my music as much as possible as like totally in the moment, and like what is happening right then, right now, and not to like think too much or let like ideas of genres like influence me too much. And I think like a lot of people listen to music that way now too, you know, today, where it's like they don't just listen to like, it's like they're not like only into rock or like only into rap, but people I think are just into like good music and are our culture, even in like fashion, is very eclectic. You know, like I think like the sense of like a style is like, you know, people can have different styles like almost every single day, you know, depending on just like how you feel in the moment. So I think, yeah, that's kind of like my approach.
And talking about how, you know, your music maybe does draw from lots of different genres.
Yeah.
Who were some of the artists that you know you really admired when you were younger, or you feel like
Yeah.
have influenced you?
I think some of the biggest ones were like John Mayer, Chris Martin, Paul Simon. I love this band called Taking Back Sunday. They were huge for me. Yeah, and then, you know, a bunch of others. But I guess those are kind of like those are ones like I always go back to. Yeah.
And can you tell us why you decide to go with a different stage name than your real name, and where that comes from? Does that help you have kind of a different persona when you perform?
Yeah, well, I would definitely say like Lauv is not like some entirely different thing than like myself as a person. You know, I pretty much just am exactly as I am. But I think I just wanted to like, because growing up I had like different projects and like names and bands that, and then I think I thought about releasing some stuff just as like my name, but I've always kind of liked the idea of like making something that like felt like some type of a not just about me type thing. So I think it gives like a little bit of like a moniker you can connect to. But you know, maybe someday I would put music out just under my name. Like I feel like that's like the classy move when you're like 40 or 50 or something like that.
And can you tell me anything about the tattoo on your hand?
Which one? This
Y?
one? I guess it's just, for better or for worse, Y is like a word that I ask myself and like ask other people like all the time. I think for me, it's just something that like I like to, whenever I'm trying to make a decision in my life, especially like big decisions, just to make sure that I'm making it for like a reason, like an actual reason that's in line with what I believe. And I think especially having moved around so much and having different like influences, and now like as things have gotten crazier in my career, there's like things move so quickly, and there's like so many things that are being kind of like, I'm being like pelted with, that I always want to make sure, that's a word, right? Pelted? No. Right?
Pelted with stones? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's I'm thinking like a airsoft gun or something. Yeah, just to like make sure that I'm like doing something for like a real reason, I guess. Yeah.
And one of the other things that seems to really, you know, help you connect with your fans is you have a bit of a dialogue with them. I don't know if that's
Definitely.
also just in one way, you know,
Yeah.
obviously you have social media, you're
Yeah.
able to have that connection, but you've got fans to send in notes. I know one of them actually inspired a song. So,
Yeah.
you know, is that something that's very important to you? And how do you think that
Definitely.
helps you connect with your fans?
Definitely. I think it's because like I don't, and like when I, for example, when I do like my meet and greets, I think people are surprised because it's like we always keep it like really small, like 30 people is the max I'll do. And it's always like very like intimate. We sit in a circle, like I play them some music, we like talk about life, and it's like super personal just because I don't really like for things to feel like, I don't know, like a machine or anything like that. I like it to feel very personal. So just because like it makes me feel weird, I think the most important thing for me is just like, yeah, to like have like a real connection, just like human to human. So with the whole like My Blue Thoughts thing, I just wanted to kind of create this box where people, you know, at shows could just write anything that was on their mind, and just kind of like let go of it. Because I found like, you know, for myself, even that there's like, even with some of my like close friends or like family, there's certain things that maybe like you internalize it like are harder to like say, or like, you know, you worry that people are going to judge you or so on and so forth. So I kind of wanted to create that place where people could just like anonymously say something. And in terms of like Superhero, the song that was inspired, that was a really cool experience because, and now I'm rambling, but yeah, I mean, I was literally just like sitting at home, like working on music for my album, and like found this note that said, I met a superhero, I lost her, I want her back. And it just like felt like already, like it should already be a song. It just felt like so perfectly like simple and poetic, but also it, at least to me, said so much. So yeah, so then I turned it into a song. Yeah.
And songwriting seems to be, you know, a really integral part of what you do, not only for your own output, but with other artists. So,
Yeah.
what's your songwriting process, and how do you think that that's an important part of what you produce?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything to me. Like, I mean, yeah, for me, like, obviously the most important thing is just the music. Like, when I go too long without writing or working on music, I start to feel like just like a fake version of myself, which sucks. But I guess it's also good because that's what kind of drives me to continue to create. And I think also me creating is what keeps me growing as a person, because that's like my place to like, whenever I'm writing, like my favorite songs are always the ones that like in some way were like me saying something that like I was afraid to admit, or just like me processing a feeling. And when I don't do that, I feel like I don't grow or I don't process feelings and so on and so forth. But I guess my process is always kind of like what I was saying before about trying to be as much as much as possible in the moment. That's kind of like the way I approach writing, where like sometimes I'll sit down with a concept or I'll have lyrics already written out, but usually it's just kind of like having fun with no expectation of an outcome, and not like trying to make anything in particular, and then it just kind of happens. I feel like that's like the best form of creativity, because I think like once your like head gets in the way and you start like thinking about what you want to make, you're like making a version of something you've already heard. So it's not, for me, it doesn't feel as like truly original. I think like my best stuff comes when I'm like literally just fucking around. So
yeah. And you've played some amazing gigs touring with Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
You've got this Asia tour next year. So
yeah.
what do you like about playing live, and how has the experience been for you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Ed tour. I got to go on tour with him twice actually. First time was in arenas, which was crazy. That was in Asia. And then I just did all these dates with him in the U.S. in stadiums. So like some of those were like 80,000 people or something like that. I mean, that was obviously so surreal. It's a feeling, yeah, it's really hard to describe that feeling, but just in general, yeah, I mean, the whole live thing is definitely different than being in the studio. I find it's just like really satisfying for me to be able to take like those like kind of feelings that kind of came out in one moment, and then like over and over connect with different people all around the world in different ways. And it kind of just helps me like, I guess continue to process that stuff, and it's just fun, honestly. Yeah, playing shows is a lot of fun. I think for a while, like on some of my like sadder songs, I like would want to like portray that live and like act all sad, but the shows have been like so amazing, and people have been like so like, all my fans have been so like warm and receptive and there, that like I end up like singing all these sad songs just like grinning the whole time. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to like writing new music and going back out on the road with that.
What have you got for us next year?
Yeah, so I mean, right now I'm pretty much just going in, and until I go back on tour, like we just announced the Asia tour in May, I'm just like writing and working on my album. So I'm really excited because I've been doing so much touring, which has been amazing, but I'm ready to like focus and just get back in the studio. Yeah, so I've been like writing on the road and collecting ideas, and yeah, basically just going in and focusing. I'm excited.
And, how do you see that your position in the broader music industry just now? It does, like how you've mentioned that people don't have so many expectations on genre, and I think there is an appetite out there for artists they can really connect with.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself as like, as part of a new generation of music?
Definitely. I mean, I see myself as sort of like a modern version of like a singer-songwriter, which is like sometimes that might be me and a guitar, sometimes that might be me and like my laptop messing with weird sounds. I think because like genre is sort of limitless, that's possible, but like, like a lot of my favorite people, like I was saying, like John Mayer or Paul Simon or Chris Martin, I feel like at their core, it's always like songs, like real songs. I've always loved things that feel like nostalgic and romantic and all of that. So I also feel like more than ever, we're like bombarded with like so much information and like, social media and all this and that. That's kind of, I think, placed a lot of like, at least on me, I can't speak for everybody, but at least I feel this in my friends and other artists and talk to some of my fans about it, just like all sorts of like weird anxiety and like pressure and like non-human weirdness from all of that. So I'm that's like one of my, like for me, like one of the biggest things that I want to like address with the new music and the album. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how it takes shape.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for sharing all that with us. And,
no, thank you.
Can't wait to see what music comes out next year.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks.